Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Tuesday, August 20th. We have a nice big slate to go over, and I'm going to get into it all. But before we do, come join us at LineStar. It is only $39.99 per month, and it gets you access to everything we do, all the props, all the DFS, and our new best ball tool, as it is prime best ball season now. Get those drafts done as we prepare for football season in about 2 weeks. So come join us. Now is the best time. Let's go. Now, we usually do go over some review from yesterday's slate. I am still on vacation, so I won't be able to do that review as I just don't have the same access, but we will jump in and go over the whole slate today. So we do have 13 games, starts at a normal time, and we will start with our highest owned pitchers. Our highest owned pitcher on the slate is Zach Wheeler at 19% owned. We do have a 4-star alert score. Oh, sorry, it dropped down to 18. It was 19 earlier. But Zach Wheeler is in a great spot versus Atlanta. Atlanta is not the normal team that we are used to them being. Just been hit with more injuries over and over and over again. If you did not see, Austin Riley is now on the IL, and he's pretty much done for the season now. And Wheeler has been the same old self. He's been great, mid-threes FIP, K rate 27% over the last 20. He has had a little more upside over the short term with a 29% K rate. And then the Braves really haven't been good versus righties, for the last 150 games. But they have been much better in the short term. 265 average, 218 ISO, 21% K rate. So there is a little upside in this spot. I'm not super worried about Atlanta. But I also don't absolutely love the spot for Zach Wheeler. He has at least been pretty good versus Atlanta in the past. In 168 plate attempts, they're only hitting 238 and striking out at 31%. So there's definitely reasons to like Wheeler in this spot and to just eat that chalk. Next, we have Cody Bradford, 8,100. The fact that he's only 1,200 less than Zach Wheeler is wild to me, and I would clearly favor Wheeler. But there are some reasons to want to go to Bradford here. Pittsburgh, striking out almost 27%. Only a 300 WOBA versus lefties. 137 ISO. He's averaging 36% more fantasy points at home. I think there's a lot of reasons to like Bradford. However, there's also some scary StatCast data where he's allowing 50% hard contact, which that's just a little bit high for me, especially for a pitcher that's, maybe slightly above average for NFL or MLB caliber, but he is just not generally the guy I want to get at super high ownership. And Pittsburgh's been hitting well lately off lefties with 311 average, 205 ISO, 385 WOBA. They are striking out, however, at 30%. So there is some nice upside, but it's also kind of scary facing that Pittsburgh lineup with a lefty right now. At high ownership, I would just rather go to Wheeler personally. Next, we got Cole Reagans, 9,500. I think he is clearly the best option on this slate. The Angels, while they are decent versus lefties, don't scare me that much. He has huge upside. We have him at 2.6x value, which is the highest value on the slate. 3.16 FIP over his last 20 starts with almost 29% K rate is very good, and his StatCast data all looks very good as well. Opponent team splits versus lefties, almost a 300 average in the short term, but low ISO, and then WOBA's a 340. While the Angels have been better, I don't mind just picking on them. I just don't believe in that offense that much. They do continually kind of get it, are able to get it done, but I just don't like it that much. I would much rather take the Cole Reagans side of that and the upside that comes with his strikeout ability. Next, we got Robbie Ray, 8,600, 2.2x. He is probably my favorite spot on this slate, and I am super surprised he's not the highest owned. White Sox, we know they are just awful. They are the first team eliminated from playoff contention. They strike out at 23%, super low WOBA and a low ISO versus lefties. And Ray just has huge upside potential. 28% strikeout rate over the last 20. 32.6 over the last 5. Now, there's definitely some worries with Ray. With that being said, I don't mind, throwing out a couple. I don't mind throwing out a couple White Sox stacks just because we know Ray can get a little wild. He can let guys steal bases and can get crushed. He gives up 5 runs in .2 innings versus Atlanta. He gave up 4 runs in 4 innings versus Oakland. He's had a couple other really good outings. He is just frankly inconsistent, and I believe that is why he is not super high owned. Now, I think clearly this is the best spot, and I do really like attacking this spot. However, with that, I don't mind White Sox stacks to counteract if you have multiple lineups you're putting in, just to balance out your portfolio a little bit. And I do think there is some upside in White Sox stack with how many base runners Ray lets on the bases and how inconsistent he can be. Next, we got Ronel Blanco. I am not a real big fan of Blanco. I think he is a little bit overpriced for his upside. While he has been striking out guys lately, 25% K rate over his last 20 starts. The FIPS for him are just kind of weird. 4.5 FIP over his last 20 with a 3.27 ERA, and that's flipped over the last 5 starts with a 3.55 FIP and a 4.37 or 3.2 ERA lately. His StatCast data is a little scary. He's allowing a lot of hard contact, a lot of barrel balls. And this Boston lineup is just not one you want to face a righty with. 300 average, 213 ISO, 374 WOBA over the last 20 games. It's not a spot I really want to go to Blanco. I would rather just avoid it. Javier Assad, he is cheap, he's 6,900, but he just hasn't been good lately. He started the year awesome, and now he's pretty much who we thought we were getting, and I just can't really go there. Even at 6,900, I don't love it. Bailey Ober, he has been pitching absolutely incredibly, but in this spot versus the Padres, there's just not much upside, and that is my worry. So he does have some strikeout upside of 27% K rate, but over the last 20 games, the Padres have only been striking out at 15.5%. That's just frankly not enough upside for me to really want to go against a team that has been playing very, very well. Now, Ober, his numbers have been great. 3.5 FIP over his last 20, 2.92 over his last 5. Decent strikeout rate. I don't mind if you really want to go there and try and pick on the Padres. The Padres have not been as good at home all season, so there are some reasons to like it. But for me, I just don't like the upside there, and I can't really get it. And I think they should actually be lower owned than we're showing right now. Nick Pivetta, nobody is more inconsistent. He's a lot like Robbie Ray in that. Now he is versus the Astros, and the Astros just don't strike out that much. The big thing here is that he has been decent versus them, but only 32 plate attempts, so I can't really hold that against him. Personally, I'm not in on Pivetta in this spot. I just would rather go elsewhere. However, at 7,800 and having his upside is at least in consideration. Next, we got Shane Baz, 7,600 versus the A's. I don't love this spot. I don't hate it. I think this game is one that I don't mind targeting a little bit, as it's really hard to predict what is going to happen in this game. All in all, he is a good big-time prospect. He is cheap. If you're looking for a salary saver, he is one, but I wouldn't be going all in on that. Lou Gill versus Cleveland. Cleveland is one of the teams that I like to go against the least. Now, Gill does have upside here. 3.7 FIP over his last 20 starts, 27% K rate. 3.4 FIP over his last 5 starts with a 27% K rate. The only scary thing is that it is versus the Guardians. However, over the short term, versus righties, only a 239 average, 167 ISO, 310 WOBA. The big thing is that they just don't strike out a lot. So we're looking at a spot where maybe his upside is a little bit lower than what we're normally looking to versus when we're picking Lou Gill, but this offense isn't quite as good versus righties. They've also struggled a little bit recently, leaning to me slightly liking Gill, but it is a little scary to click that name. I would definitely have a little bit of him. Now, as we get into some more of the value plays or super low owned plays, I don't mind going Matthew Boyd versus the Yankees. However, it's very scary to go the Yankees. Boyd is a decent pitcher, though. My big worry is that I think his pitch count will probably be around 90-ish. Yankees haven't been good versus lefties, and that's the real big thing here. 234 average, 323 WOBA, 150 ISO, striking out at 21%. I don't mind some Boyd at 6,600 if you want to go with a value play, but it is a little scary to click that versus Yankees. And the one other one I really wanted to point out here was Martin Perez of the Padres. He's versus Twins. Twins have not been good versus lefties. 297 WOBA, 23% K rate. Martin Perez, since coming to the Padres, has been very, very good. He has faced 3 easy offenses, though, but has been pitching amazing. And I think some of that is likely due to the Padres pitching staff. And I'm willing to go here a little bit just because the fact the Twins are hitting 173 with a 157 ISO and a 256 WOBA with a 23% K rate over their last 20 games versus a lefty. You add in the fact that Martin Perez has been very good, and I think at that price, it's willing to take some shots. I wouldn't say go overboard on it, but I think it's an interesting click. I do have to warn you, though, the 5.33 FIP over a 3.21 ERA does show that he is due for some regression soon. It is likely because he's been facing some less than stellar offenses, so that could come to bite us today, but I am a little bit intrigued by that at super low ownership. After him, I'm really not interested in too much. Eric Fetty is a decent pitcher, but I don't love facing Milwaukee. Then Bryce Miller. I love Bryce Miller as a pitcher, but he's facing the Dodgers and averaging 69% less fantasy points away. So for those 2 reasons, I'm kind of out on him as well. And Mitch Keller is another guy that is extremely inconsistent. At least he is a little streaky, though. When he's good, and he stays good for a little bit. Then when he's bad, stays bad for a little bit. And he's been bad recently, so I'm just not really looking to jump on that bandwagon now, especially when he's averaging 42% less fantasy points away. Now let's get over to FanDuel real quick, go through that ownership before we get into stacks and wrap this up. So, highest owned on FanDuel, we got Cole Reagans. I think that's the clear spot to go for highest owned. Next, we do have Zach Wheeler. That one I'm absolutely fine with as well. And then Robbie Ray at 19% owned, 9,700. I think he is probably my favorite spot, even though it is a little scary click, but we're getting a little ownership discount, a little price discount, and I think the upside is with the Reagans and Wheeler, so I don't mind going there. I also do like going down to Lou Gill. Then on FanDuel, I don't know if I can get wild enough to go with one of the cheap value plays. They're just a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, and I just don't see that savings working out. Most likely, I would just stay with these 3 plus Lou Gill if you want to get different. So let's check out some stacks now before we can wrap it up and see what we got here. So we'll start on the highest owned. Highest owned is the Tampa Bay Rays. I do want to bring in the fact that they are only 47% owned. That is just way too low to even worry about ownership. So on this slate, you just play the stacks you want to play. Don't worry about ownership, as nobody is too high. They're going against Joey Estes. I like the spot. 5.34 FIP over his last 5, FIP of 5 over his last 20, and the bullpen, if you get into the bullpen a little bit early, you can definitely beat them up. Next, we got Seattle. I think Seattle's in a very interesting spot versus Walker Buehler, who has just been awful. 6.98 FIP over his last 5, 4.94 over the last 20. I think they're in a very interesting spot, and I do not mind going to them whatsoever. Next, we do have Texas versus Mitch Keller, who has been bad recently. As I said, he is inconsistent, but at least he is streaky, and he's been bad. So you might as well try to pick on him a little bit. And the Dodgers are popping a little as well, and you can always go with the Dodgers no matter who they're facing, but especially when they're facing somebody that is not as good away, and Dodgers are home. Our highest projected stacks for the day, we got Cincinnati, we got the Yankees. Both are fairly interesting. Oh, sorry, I wasn't scrolled all the way up there. So we got Boston, we got the Dodgers, Cincinnati, and Yankees. All are interesting. Boston crushes righties. Blanco, while he's a decent pitcher, can get hit up a little bit. Miller, worse away. And Jose Barrios, while he's been good his last couple starts, his FIP has still been bad, and we know he can get blown up. So absolutely intrigued on that one. Yankees are facing Matt Boyd, who is a solid pitcher, but we got winds blowing out in Yankee Stadium, and that offense can always kind of get it done. So let's check out the value. We got the White Sox. This is absolutely my favorite value stack. I know I do really like Robbie Ray, who they're facing, but as I said, he can get a little inconsistent. He can get a little wild. He can let guys on. He can let guys steal bases. And if he gives up 5 runs, gives up, 2 or 3 steals, something like that, then White Sox can absolutely find their way into the perfect lineup. So I don't mind some White Sox stacks to round it out if you're trying to save some money. Tampa Bay is popping up a little bit too, as well as Houston. I think Houston is a very interesting stack to pick on Nick Pivetta. They're going to go low owned, and we know Pivetta, if he's getting hit, he's giving up home runs, he's letting guys on base, and he can really go up some big scores. Let's check the ceiling. Ceiling-wise, we got Dodgers, we got Boston, we have Cincinnati, we got Yankees. I like them all. Do not mind going with any of them. And that will do it for us today. Actually, sorry. Click the teams tab, do the little rundown. Highest implied run total today is the Royals at 4.8. We didn't even go over them. I think they are absolutely interesting. Now, Tyler Anderson has been very good lately, is very good at limiting runs, but if you are able to get to him, the bullpen behind him is not bad. So I do like the Royals. And then Astros versus Pivetta. I said I like that one. The bullpen behind him is bad. Boston has actually been the worst bullpen in the league since the All-Star break. And then you have the Yankees at 4.6 with the Giants at 4.6. Giants are another one we did not touch upon. Their bullpen behind Davis Martin is terrible. Davis Martin isn't very good. I think they make an interesting play. I just would warn you guys that they do like to platoon guys, so there is the chance of your guys not playing all 9. So I generally prefer Giants at smaller stacks and not full 5-man, more 3 or 2-man type stuff, but I'm very intrigued by them. Dodgers, Minnesota, Mets, Philadelphia, Padres, and Blue Jays all around 4.3, 4.4. So pretty widespread as far as implied totals go today. I don't really have to go to the highest guys. I like a lot of people in this range. So ownership is going to get really spread out. Play who you think is the best. There's good reasons to go with a lot of stacks today. And only a few pitchers that, we really, really like on this slate. So have a good one, guys. Good luck. Let's make some money, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.